Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. And welcome back to a very special Bayou Time. I'm Martin Falls. Very pleased to have with us via Baton Rouge, the insurance commissioner, Mr. Tim Temple, who is with us today. And Mr. Commissioner, good to see you today, sir. How are you?
Good to see you, Martin. Doing well today. Thank you.
All right, so this is the guy, just to let the audience know that if he can pull this insurance problem down a bit and get people better insurance and lower premiums, he'll be able to run for anything he ever wants to while he's in office. And certainly he's taking on a big task in Baton Rouge. First of all, Mr. Commissioner, let's talk about some of the bills that have gone through that the governor has signed. And sort of maybe if you can give us, there you see him right there, if you could give us a synopsis of those bills and how you think it will help the people in our area, because trust me, there's not a luncheon that I go to when I'm asking people the biggest thing on their plate. It is insurance, insurance, insurance. So I'll give you the floor a little bit.
Sure, Martin. I appreciate that. And look, I think I need to start off with letting your viewers know that, look, I certainly understand, and a lot of the members of the Capitol understand that insurance is the biggest crisis that most families, individuals, and businesses are facing. I mean, it is a tremendous financial stress that's being put on everybody in our state. And I think that's why there's so many people focused on making reform to help shape Louisiana back to a state that insurance companies want to come back and do business. And the bills that you mentioned 2 weeks ago, we had a bill signing with the governor, and there were 4 bills that were signed that were part of the property reform package. I've got a package of bills. It's about 19 bills, and there's a few duplicate, meaning they start both in the House and the Senate. But these bills were designed to tackle head on the concerns that the insurance industry has expressed with doing business in Louisiana, while at the same time maintaining consumer protections. So as the commissioner, that's my balance. I've got to create a marketplace that insurance companies feel that they can come in and put their capital at risk, while at the same time making sure that they don't take advantage of the consumer. And I'll tell you, Martin, and many of your viewers know this, over with Laura, Delta, Zeta, and Ida, we had 12 property companies that went insolvent. That means they took your hard-earned premium dollars, and then when you needed them when you needed them at most to pay that claim, they weren't there. So that's what I'm making sure as commissioner, that I balance that. But to get into the 4 bills that we passed, I'll start with I'll say the easiest one. We removed the sunset for the fortified roof program. And this simply demonstrates to the insurance industry and to the rest of the world that we're serious about fortifying our structures. We've got a lot of properties that are exposed to hurricane force winds in South Louisiana. So we've got to do everything we can to build more resilient homes, to mitigate the future damages that will come with future hurricanes. The second bill we passed was changing our rating structure from prior approval to file and use. And that simply helps bring Louisiana in line with the majority of the states in our country. And it's designed to help highlight Louisiana as a place where we want to make sure insurance companies feel that they can come and do business. The third was the tort reform. I'm sorry. The third bill passed was designed to help the claims experience. And it's a fair claims practice bill. And it simply explains and lays out the ground rules, if you will, for insurance companies and claimants with the intent of having a better claim experience, so that the consumer doesn't feel like they have to have an attorney involved to get a fair claim, if you will. It's designed so that the claimant gets money quicker and more accurately. And then the fourth bill, and it's probably the most controversial, is the 3-year rule bill. It's really a third renewal, but it's commonly referred to the 3-year rule. And listen, Louisiana is the only state in America that has this law in place. We're the only jurisdiction on the planet that I know of that has this in place. And as I traveled the country, as I traveled when I was in Europe, in London, meeting with Lloyd's of London, the largest reinsurance market in the world, meeting with reinsurers in Bermuda, one of the biggest property supporting markets in the world. I heard it time and time again that this 3-year rule, it doesn't protect consumers. It actually hurts consumers because insurance companies have identified it as a reason why they don't want to do business in Louisiana. And so if we want to attract markets, and we do, we want more companies coming in, but we want quality markets. But if we want companies to come in and write our homes and our businesses, we have got to do things to make it so that Louisiana is more like our sister states, our peer states. Otherwise, companies will they'll go do business in Texas or Mississippi or Alabama or Florida before they do business in Louisiana.
Let me ask you this on the 3-year rule. Suppose Jane Doe or John Doe has insurance that they've been having for a long time. They get a lot of damage. Tornado comes through, causes them a lot of damage. We all know about tornadoes. We've been seeing quite a bit over the nation. Then there's a storm that develops, God forbid, in 2024. They just fix their house and they get another set of damages. Is there anything in these laws that would protect them just from having bad luck to say their neighbors down the street who might not have had any damage, any protections in there for the ones who are unlucky?
But no, there are protections for consumers that carriers can't drop their coverage as a result. For example, after a hurricane, when hurricanes come through and people have damage, the insurance companies can't come behind that and drop you because of that hurricane damage. But the 3-year rule, and I think that's where, a lot of times a little bit of the confusion is that, people that have been doing business with a particular company for a long period of time tend to think that, well, I've done business with them for 10 years or 15 years, so I've got some type of status or some type of protection. And that's simply not true. I mean, insurance is a 1-year contract period on our homeowners, right? You write it, if it becomes effective January 1st, it expires December 31st, and then you have to start the renewal process over again. And again, this is one of the areas that insurance companies identified as a barrier for entry to them. It inhibited them from wanting to come to Louisiana. It inhibits them from managing the risk if they do business in Louisiana. And it also inhibits companies from leaving the state, exiting the state if they want to. And so if we want to promote a free market economy, if we want to promote companies coming in and doing business, again, having to be treated fairly, they've got to treat the consumers fairly. And that's my job as a commissioner, make sure that they do that. But if we want to create that competitive environment, we've got to remove these barriers. And this was one of the biggest.
A myth or fact, do they all have to go through you if they're going to drop? Do you have to approve all of that, or do they have some say-so in that?
Under the 3-year rule, under the law that recently changed, insurance companies can non-renew up to 5% of their book of business that is exposed, that is subject to the 3-year. They have to send that plan to me. They cannot we have to make sure as a department, it's my job to make sure that they don't take all of that number, that 5%, and just drop it in one parish or one specific zip code or something like that. So there is regulatory oversight on that. I don't get to pick and choose every single person that they renew or non-renew, but they have to submit their action plan to make sure that it conforms with the law.
All right. When we go to social parties, and I'm sure you have heard it more than anybody, but when we go to events and I'm talking to an insurance person, I get the total bad side of attorneys. When I'm talking to attorneys, I get the total bad side of insurance companies. So what is really the situation with that? Because we all know after Hurricane Ida, we all needed attorneys to make us whole. But I get it. There's another side to the story. The insurance companies are trying to tell their side. But I'm not going to sit here and bash attorneys because we all want them and need them. When we need them, we hire them. So where's the sweet spot between legal and insurance companies in these types of situations?
Well, Martin, I think first I need to make sure and explain to your audience is that all of these laws that have changed do not inhibit anybody's ability to seek a legal remedy when they, I wanted to make sure that we were balanced on that. What we're trying to do is change the laws so that we can focus on the claimant having the best claim experience first. In the way the insurance industry works, you pay your premium to your insurance company. When you have a claim, they send an adjuster out and they start the claims process. And there may be times when you have to go back and forth as you find additional damage, your contractor finds additional damage, then you need to go back to your insurance company and file what's called a supplemental to seek additional payments. And that's what we're trying to do is get back to that process. The way that the law was before the bills that were signed the other day by the governor, it created an opportunity for people to claim that they were being treated in bad faith by the insurance carrier when oftentimes they weren't. And look, I'll tell you, there are times when that takes place. And still to this day, under the current law, if your insurance company is operating under bad faith, and the law that we just passed actually helps clarify that so that everybody knows what constitutes bad faith. But if your carrier is operating under bad faith, you will still have legal remedy. You will have the ability to do that. But we're trying to get back to balance because what we did see after Laura, Delta, Zeta, and Ida was that there was a larger percentage of people that just decided to go hire an attorney early in the process. And again, that's not the way the system's set up, and it doesn't operate like that in all these other states that I mentioned. So if we want companies to come back and feel like they're going to be treated fairly, not special, just fairly, then we had to address some of these issues.
But on the flip side, and I know you understand this, that if the consumer feels like they've made several outreaches to their insurance carrier and they're sort of feeling like they're getting the runaround, they're going to go hire an attorney. So I know you had to address that in detail, I'm sure.
And look, like I said earlier, they will still have the opportunity to hire legal counsel if they have not been treated fairly.
Okay. So one of the things that I've been learning, and I'm fortunate enough that a lot of my businesses, I'm paid up. So I don't have a mortgage where the bank is going, okay, Martin, you got to have an insurance policy in place. So we self-insure. I was shocked to hear a couple of large businesses in Terrebonne Parish who can't afford their wind and hail now, so they're just set up for fire. What are the feelings that you get? I'm sure you've talked to a lot of businesses in our area, in our viewing audience, because it really scares me, Mr. Temple, that if we don't get this under control and soon, we're going to have a disaster in the southern part of Louisiana. And I know you're expediently trying to get these things under control, but what you got? How quickly do you think people will come in, buy into this program, and start writing new policies?
Well, look, if we want to look at Florida, which they had a special session in 2022, they had another special session in 2023, and I believe they had two special sessions in that year. They are just, if you keep up with the news that you're reading, that the insurance industry is coming back to Florida, and that they just recently announced that some of the carriers that are writing property are asking for and receiving rate decreases from their Department of Insurance. So while it's certainly never fast enough for anybody, it's not going to be fast enough for me. It's not going to be fast enough for any individual or businesses because of the financial pressures we all feel. It certainly is going to come. And the fact that we've passed some substantial property reform means that clock that starts the change has started ticking.
And look, by no means am I blaming you. There have been many before you, and you have taken on a task that I commend you for taking on that task, because it's a big one. And certainly you're being tugged in all kind of directions by people that have different thoughts and different processes. But if you had to go with your gut and just talk straight to our audience and give them some kind of hope as to when this is going to start getting better, because by all means, we want to keep people in our areas, what would you tell them?
Look, like I said, we've done some of the steps that needed to be done here in Baton Rouge. We've passed the laws that the insurance industry said we need to see passed. What I have started doing since then, and actually since before then, is reaching out to the industry to let them know we've paid attention. We did what you asked us to do. Now it's your turn, industry, to step up. You need to start coming back to Louisiana. You need to start writing homes again. You need to start writing businesses again. And as a commissioner, that's going to be my next important charge once we get done with session, is to continue to market, if you will, to these insurance companies, to the reinsurance markets, and let them know that we made the changes that they identified needed to be changed. And let me tell you, I've had conversations with insurance companies. I've had conversations with reinsurance markets and brokers. They are paying attention. They are noticing. The day that we signed, we were at the bill signing with the governor, I got notification and said, hey, we just see that you've made these good changes. That's great for Louisiana. It demonstrates that it's restoring confidence back into the marketplace. It restores confidence for companies that want to come back to Louisiana. And like I said, Martin, there is no date I can put on a calendar and say that we're going to have, X number of companies new to Louisiana. That's not fair, and it would be very disingenuous to your viewers to make them think that, some date on a calendar is a magic date. But I do want to assure them that I am working tirelessly to let the industry know that the people of Louisiana need to see the insurance reform. We need companies coming back to Louisiana, because that competition will help put the downward pressure on premium increases that we're all seeing and experiencing.
And certainly we're all pulling for you. I can tell you that we're pulling for you, not necessarily for a date, but just to see that process start to take place. Any message, because FEMA notoriously comes in and they do not recognize our levee systems and our flood control structures, and we even have the Weather Channel during storms that does not recognize what we've done here in Terrebonne Parish and Lafourche Parish. We have put more skin in the game than anywhere in the nation protecting ourselves, and we have tremendous movement in those areas. Any movement from FEMA with your talks?
I don't get engaged in conversations with FEMA just because of that federal program. But I can tell you this, Martin, and I've been to your area several times. I've been down to Houma and spoken to the economic development groups there. And every time I go down there, I always acknowledge the work that's been done in Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish. You taxed yourselves, you built the levees, and they proved to work. And I've had conversations with insurance companies. I've had conversations with underwriters and reinsurers. And after this storm season, because I don't think I could get some people to come down during the middle of a hurricane season, but after, we're going to bring them to your area. We're going to show them. I've had conversations with some of your levy board members and some of your legislators here in Baton Rouge. We're going to bring the underwriters, the insurance companies to your area. We're going to show them the work that you did yourselves, the mitigation, the levees that has been built and proven to work, with the intent of starting those conversations so that you get credit for what's been done. I certainly know that the federal government doesn't want to give you credit because they're not, core engineered levees. Mm-hmm. And that to me, it's not right to your folks, because you did what needed to be done and it was proven to work. So I'm going to be a cheerleader and an advocate to help the insurance industry, the private insurance industry, know what you've done. We'll get them down there and we're going to show them all the good work that's taken place.
That would be a great idea, because I saw in previous storms 12,000 homes. I sat in this news desk for 40 years, 12,000 homes flooded. In the last one, 2 homes flooded. So the levees do work. We've been working really hard on that. And certainly we know you're the man that has been tasked with trying to fix this, and we appreciate your efforts. How big of a task, in your own words, has this become for you?
I don't want to say it's a big task. I just want to highlight the importance of it. I certainly get every day when I wake up, all day long until I go to bed at night, I know that I've got an opportunity working with our governor, working with our legislators, to make some changes that will actually have a positive impact on everybody in this state. No matter where you live in our state, north, south, east, or west, everybody is experiencing, these premium increases, these unaffordable premium increases for many people. And that's why I feel encouraged by the work that's being done and by the support that I get, over in the Capitol on making this reform, because we do this right. we can have a positive impact. I like to say that, my job is to make it so that you get to keep more money in your pocket and not give it to an insurance company.
Just
And
final question. I think you sort of alluded to this already, but what state should we be modeling after at this point?
well, Martin, that there is no one single state. The reform package that we've taken and that's working through the legislative process, it comes from many states. We took a little bit of the reform that was done in North Carolina. We took the fortified roof program, which has been very successful in Alabama. We took some of the laws in Florida, Texas. We're kind of picking and choosing the best of the best, if you will. And a lot of times when we go over to the Capitol, and I didn't coin this phrase, but it was coined by a legislator. He said, "We're not asking anybody to do experimental legislation. This is all proven to work in other states, and that's why we know it's going to be successful here in Louisiana."
Well, we appreciate your time and giving us a good bit of time. And hopefully, we can just see some of these stress levels start to come down. I'm being honest. I've seen marriages on the rocks because the stress levels are so high. I've seen people just down and out. Social workers tell me they're as busy as they've ever been. So it's a big burden on our people, especially the ones I know in South Louisiana. I don't know what it's like in North Louisiana. I do not live there. I can't speak for them. But in South Louisiana, we have a crisis, and we're looking for you to help us as much as you can. And we appreciate the fact that you do it so.
Well, thank you. And look, I'd like to have the opportunity to come back on your program after they finish session here in another month, and give you and your viewers an update on what was passed, what wasn't, and maybe we can start to skinny down that timeline a little bit for folks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Martin.
All right. Once again, the Insurance Commissioner of the state of Louisiana, Tim Temple. We appreciate him joining us. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more right here on Bayou Time.